You know that feeling? That sudden, awful bout of food poisoning that just completely wipes out your week? We're always quick to point the finger at salmonella or E. coli, right? But what if I told you there's another culprit out there, a hidden one, that's actually way more common? Well, today, we're diving into the secret story of Campylobacter, the foodborne foe you've probably met but never knew by name.
So let's kick things off with a quick question. What do you think is the single most common bacterial cause of infectious diarrhea on the entire planet? Go on, take a guess. You're probably thinking of one of the big, famous names, but the real answer, well, it might just surprise you.
The answer is Campylobacter. And to give you an idea of just how big of a deal this is, in the United States alone, we're talking about an estimated 2.4 million cases every single year. That is a massive number for a bacterium that most of us have never even heard of.
So let's get into it. Think of this as a detective story. First, we're going to meet our culprit and get a profile on it. Then, we'll track down the primary suspect, find out where it's heading. We'll look at the anatomy of its invasion, its whole attack plan. Then we'll cover the symptoms and diagnosis, and finally, we'll build your personal defense plan.
All right, first things first. Let's get a good look at the villain of our story. Who, or really what, exactly is Campylobacter?
So here it is. This is our first look at the enemy up close. What you're seeing is a picture of Campylobacter jejuni from a powerful microscope. And you can't miss that weird curved spiral shape, right? Scientists actually describe it as looking like a seagull wing. And see those little whip-like tails? Those are called flagella, and they're basically little motors that help it swim around and cause trouble.
So the official definition is that Campylobacter is a genus of bacteria. A couple of key things to notice here are curved, which we just saw, and gram-negative. Now, don't get hung up on that term. Gram-negative is really just a lab thing. It's how the bacteria reacts to a certain dye, and it tells scientists about its cell wall, which, by the way, can sometimes make it tougher against certain antibiotics.
Okay, so think of these as its special moves. We know it's got that spiral shape. It's also super mobile, moving in this kind of corkscrew motion, which helps it drill into places it shouldn't be. It's also microaerophilic, a fancy word that just means it loves environments with low oxygen, like the inside of your gut. And the two main troublemakers for humans are Campylobacter jejuni and Campylobacter coli.
All right, so we've got a profile on our culprit. Now for the big question. Where is this thing actually hiding? Let's follow the evidence.
And here we have it. Suspect number 1, poultry. Yep, raw chicken. While Campylobacter can hang out in a lot of animals, raw chicken is, by a huge margin, the most common way it gets to us.
Now get ready for this number, because it is a stunner. Some studies show that up to 80%, 80, of the poultry sold for us to eat is contaminated with Campylobacter. Just let that sink in for a second. That means there's a really good chance that the raw chicken you buy from the store is carrying this bacteria.
But it's not just about chicken. It can also spread if you drink untreated water or raw, unpasteurized milk. You can get it from direct contact with infected animals, maybe a new puppy or farm animals. And while it's less common, it can spread from person to person. That's the fecal-oral route, which is just a polite way of saying it spreads from poor hand hygiene after using the bathroom.
So, what happens if this bacteria slips past our defenses and gets inside? What's its game plan? Let's break down its step-by-step strategy for attacking the human body.
It's a 4-step invasion. First, it's got to be a real survivor to make it through the acid bath of our stomach. Once it's past that, it uses those little corkscrew motors to burrow deep into the mucus lining of our intestines. From there, it actually invades the cells of our intestinal wall, which causes all kinds of inflammation and damage. And for the final blow, it releases toxins that mess with our cells and, well, that's what leads to the horrible diarrhea.
Now, an invasion like that, our bodies are definitely going to sound the alarm. So what are the signs of a Campylobacter infection, and how can doctors be sure that's what it is?
First off, you don't feel sick right away. After you've been exposed, there's this incubation period of about 2 to 5 days. And that delay, it can make it really tricky to pinpoint exactly which meal was the culprit.
And when the symptoms hit, they can be brutal. We're talking diarrhea that can be watery or even bloody, along with really bad stomach cramps, nausea, muscle aches, and then there's something called prostration. That's not just feeling tired, it's a deep, debilitating exhaustion that just floors you. It is a truly miserable time.
So to get a definitive diagnosis, a doctor is going to need a stool sample. In the lab, as you can see here, they spread it on this special gel called a selective medium. And here's the cool trick. They grow it at 42 degrees Celsius, which is a bit hotter than our body temperature.
That heat helps Campylobacter grow like crazy, while stopping a lot of other bacteria, making it easy to spot.
Okay, we've met the enemy, we know its hiding spots, we know its attack plan, and we can recognize the symptoms. Now for the most important part of all, your defense plan. How do we treat it? And even better, how do we stop it from getting to us in the first place?
The good news is that for most healthy people, your body will fight it off on its own in about a week. The absolute #1 priority is rehydration. You have to replace all the fluids you're losing. Now, if it's a really bad case or it's just not going away, a doctor might step in with an antibiotic, like erythromycin, to help clear it out. But honestly, prevention is so much better than needing a cure. And it really just boils down to 4 simple pillars of food safety. Cook, chill, wash, and separate. Cook your food all the way through. Chill your leftovers right away. Wash your hands and all your kitchen surfaces. And this one is so important. Separate your raw meats from everything else.
Let's really zero in on that first pillar, cook. This is your single best weapon, and I mean it. Forget about checking the color of the meat or if the juices run clear. That's a total myth. The only way to know for sure that you've killed Campylobacter is to use a meat thermometer. And the magic number you were looking for is 165 degrees Fahrenheit or 74 Celsius.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final question. Now that you know that up to 80% of raw chicken might be carrying this thing, I want you to really think about your own kitchen habits. Is your kitchen truly prepared for this very, very common invader?